Hello, and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I'm Annette. Today I'm doing a mixed media scrapbook layout, and here's my first attempt. I used some mixed media paper and then some inking on it, and then I did a decorative stitch, and you can see that the paper got ripped when I did that. I did test the stitching and thread ahead of time on some scrap paper that was the same type of paper that I used for my page, but of course it worked on the practice, but not when I really did it. So there you could see before that I was showing where I tested it again using some other stitches. I used the same thread, and then I also used some plain thread. So I settled on trying it again. But first I did ink over my previous page to make sure that the ink would not discolor my thread, which it didn't. So I'm using metallic thread, which I think resisted the ink. So now I'm going ahead and sewing another decorative stitch, but this one has less detail so it didn't rip the paper. And I lowered the tension just a tiny bit. Now this stitch looks kind of like pine needles, but since I have to sew from the bottom to the top because my paper's too wide to go the other way, I had to flip the stitch on my machine, so now when I flip the paper the other way, it'll look like the pine needles are going down. For my bobbin thread, I'm just using a regular sewing thread that's dark green. And for my upper thread, it's called Glamour Madeira. It's a German thread, and this color is called Emerald. Now you want to make sure that you clean out your sewing machine after you do anything like this, because the paper will leave dust inside your machine, and then it will definitely get your bobbin messed up on the next time you sew. Now I use Creative Memory scrapbooks, so if you have that style, you want to make sure that you use a different page for your sewing that you can then adhere it to your scrapbook pages. If you have one where you just stick the loose pages in like this into a page protector, then you could use whatever page you're going to use. Then I just use some regular tape to tape down the loose ends of the thread to make sure that they don't get pulled out. I'll also adhere this onto my regular scrapbook page when I get finished. This video is part of a hop called Mix It Up Monday, a social media hop where we share projects that mix it up. We're mixing up a traditional scrapbook layout with some different types of media such as texture paste, foil, paint, ink, spray, gesso, thread, stitching. Anything is possible. The sky is the limit. This hop is a collaboration between Anna from Peace Craft Love and Kimberly from I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking. But anyone is welcome to play along. We post the inspiration sketch on the last Monday of the month, and then the hop takes place on the second Monday of the month. So today's sketch was created by Kimberly from I'd Rather Be Scrapbooking. Today I'm mixing it up by, of course, doing sewing, and I'm doing inking, only this time I'm doing inking with a stipple brush, which I really haven't done on scrapbooking before, and actually I've only used them in one class that I took, and that was for card making. So this is kind of brand new for me. So unfortunately, when I'm doing the stippling, it's pouncing the brush up and down on the paper and the ink pad. So it actually moved my camera, so I keep going off screen, so I only put the part that was actually on screen. So I do like this because it gives you a different look than you normally would get with a blending brush, and it gives you a lot more texture. So first of all, I'm using a brown. I wanted to use green with the pictures that I have, and I'm using a red gingham to go with the sketch, but I didn't want to do just red and green because then it would look like a Christmas scene. And this was actually a summer vacation photos. So I'm doing brown, and this is a stamp pad called Chocolate Chip from Stampin' Up. It's an old pad, so they probably don't have that color anymore. And then I go over it with one called Forest Foliage to add some green. Unfortunately, I didn't notice that my camera had moved, so I edited out all the part where I put my paper onto the page because you couldn't really see that anyway. So to mix it up, I turned my layout going vertical instead of sideways, and also I'm using 3 photographs instead of 1. Now I am still using the gingham like they show, so I have a smaller gingham on my photos to match the photos, and then this larger piece you see me putting on now is the little one next to the gingham. And then I have the larger gingham at the bottom of the page. I use this border strip of logs and the stitching to take place of the sunflowers. And I didn't have any stickers to put on the other side or any other type of things because my mom went to go visit her sister this morning and she's going to be there for quite a while. And she took all of our scrapbooking stuff with her. So she took our book that had our stickers and die cuts with her. So I didn't have anything else to add on there. So I'm going to do some journaling instead of a title. And this will be my decorative element over on the right-hand side. So I'm just using this stencil that looks kind of like something it might be in a national park. It looks like a log sign. So I'm tracing over it, and then I fussy cut it out with these scissors. And I love these scissors for fussy cutting. They're from Fiskars. The stencil I was using is an old one, and I believe it's from Creative Memory, so I'm sure it's no longer available. Then I just used my ink blending tool to put on some vintage photo distress ink, and I'm just going around the sides because the middle's going to be covered with my journaling. And this doesn't have to be perfect because I'm also going to do some embossing, so it's going to be looking rustic anyway. Then I just put my sign into this wood grain embossing folder and run it through my Big Shot. I'll list all the products that I'm using in the description below. A lot of these products are old, so a lot of them probably won't be available. But if I have any with the affiliate links, I really appreciate if you can use those. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but I do get a small commission from any sales that the links generate, and that helps support my website and my YouTube channel. For my journaling, I just cut out some paper with my Lawn Fawn Stitch Rectangle die, and then I just drew some lines in and did my journaling. And I just always use a stencil to do my lines because I can't draw straight or write straight if I don't have lines. Now, since this is embossed, I'm using some liquid glue because it has a rough texture, so if you use tape, it probably wouldn't stick too well. Now, for my photo, I use photo splits or photo squares to mount, and then I also use my ATG gun to adhere all my papers onto my scrapbook page. Now, you could also use glue, whichever one you like. I had these fishtail banners from a card I made previously, and I don't remember if I made extra or I made them the wrong size. Anyway, these were in my stash, so I decided to use those for this sketch. Now, I'm not sure if I want some more stickers on here, like if I want to put some over in the corner like in the diagram, or maybe below the sign between the two gingham pieces. If so, I'll add some. I do believe I have some pine cones, and I think that would look great. I want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check in the description below for the other people participating in the hop, and follow along the hop for some more inspiration from mixed media. And also, if you're not a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.